Hey, so I wanted to talk a little bit today about why I prefer full body workouts over body part a day splits or upper lower splits, or really any sort of split other than full body workouts, especially for youth athletes. So when we're talking about youth athletes, their days do not revolve around training. Okay, our kids today are more overscheduled than ever before. The academic demands to get into the college they want, the year-round sports, the travel club schedules, and everybody wants all of them. And it's really challenging, and I see a lot of athletes struggling to be the best for everybody. So when we talk about trying to work in strength and conditioning and physical development, into that schedule, it can be really challenging. And what I like to do is build a schedule that works for their life. I want to embrace reality and live in it and thrive in it, not try to force a square peg into a round hole. So I want a workout program that is dynamic, that is flexible, that is scalable, and that is easily digestible. And I say easily done. Not that the workout itself is easy, but showing up and doing it, the schedule doesn't stop you from showing up. Because a lot of times, they say the heaviest weight in the gym is the door, but a lot of that is due to scheduling. And I think that is especially true for the developing, youth athlete. But there's a lot of parallels to professionals and normal people throughout life. If you're a professional athlete, maybe a college athlete, your life is built around training. That's not the case for everyone else. So we want to build a schedule that's built around your life. So I want to outline here how we build our workout program and why I prefer the way we train 3 days a week, full body, over maybe an upper lower split or especially a body part a day split. So when we look at the way we train, I just outlined Monday through Friday here. Really, when you think about it, it's really a day 1, a day 2, and a day 3, and so on, because these days are interchangeable. In the summertime, we train Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Okay, and that front loads our week. It gets a lot of the heavy, important stuff done early. Okay, it gives us Friday off so that families can travel. The super busy club sports travel schedule can take over Fridays. And it allows our kids to pretty much get 2 days a week. Because very rarely are you going to miss a Tuesday or a Thursday, let's say. Maybe you're gone on Monday. But that still allows you to come in on Tuesday and Thursday. Okay, so again, just as an example of how we build it so that it's easy to attend. Because consistency is our number one KPI. It's our number one key performance indicator is how often you're showing up. Okay, the more often you show up for the long duration, that's where the development happens. So we build a schedule that allows for that. So let's take a look at how we build ours and how we train more by training less days. So when we look at Monday, okay, a typical Monday for us, we have 4 big rocks in our program that we want to hit every single day. Okay, that's a double leg exercise. Okay, a single leg exercise, an upper body push, and an upper body pull. Okay? So those are really our 4 bedrock movements. Now along that, we build in supersets with core and mobility and specific exercises, maybe based on the sport, or corrective exercises based on what that individual is dealing with. But really nobody is going to miss these. And of course, these can be scaled. So a double leg exercise for a college committed baseball player is going to look very different than a 7th grader that's just learning how to work out. Now, are they still learning the same patterns? Of course. But maybe one is doing a TRX-assisted box squat, or a landmine squat, or a goblet squat, where the older student, the more advanced student, is doing a band-resisted pause box squat with a VBT attachment, where we're going for dynamic effort, or maybe we're doing a back squat at 90% of their estimated 1 rep max. So these movement categories can be scaled based on the level of the athlete. So when we look at how this pans out throughout our week, if we look at how we train double leg 3 days a week. So this is how we approach it. On Monday is going to be our squat day. Okay, so we'll squat on Mondays. All right, we'll come in on Wednesdays and we'll probably do a hinge of some sort, maybe an RDL. Okay, and then on Fridays, we might trap bar deadlift. All right, so that's how we look at training double leg exercise 3 days a week. Now we want to pair that with a single leg exercise that trains the muscle group slightly in a different way. So when we look at our squat, we look at our squat as knee dominant. Okay, so we're looking for a hip dominant single leg exercise. So we might look here for a single leg RDL. Okay, so we're doing a single leg hinge. All right, working on hinging at the hip with one leg. All right, we've balanced that. Now we look at Wednesday, we did a hip dominant double leg exercise. So we're going to look for a knee dominant single leg exercise. For example, a pistol squat. All right, so that's our single leg exercise for day 2. Okay, so we go to day 3. The trap bar deadlift is a combination movement. Okay, it's really, all these are full body exercises, but the trap bar deadlift, in my opinion, is a bit more hip dominant. Okay, so we're going to look for another knee dominant exercise. The other issue, not really issue, but the other unique quality of a trap bar deadlift is it can be a little bit tough on the lower back. So we're going to look at for an exercise that opens the lower back, that puts our hips on a stretch. I really like doing split squats after trap bar deadlift. Maybe even with a front foot elevated, where we push our knee over our toe and really focus on mobility in the ankle and building some quad strength. So we'll do split squats on Friday. Okay, so that's our double leg and our single leg Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now let's look at push. Another one that we want to balance between horizontal pushing and vertical pushing. So if we look at Monday, maybe here we go with a single arm shoulder press. Okay, we go single arm shoulder press on Monday. Now we come in on Wednesday. I like to bench press on Wednesdays. It's just been a nice flow for us, so we like to bench on Wednesdays. So we'll go bench press on Wednesdays. Okay, now we come in on Fridays. We've got one vertical, one horizontal. Now, based on your group, maybe you decide to do something different. Based on the team you're training, the level you're training, of course. But what I really like to do on Fridays is push-ups. Push-ups is a foundational exercise that everyone needs to be good at. It's a core exercise, it's full body. So why don't we come in on Fridays and do our push-ups. All right, so there you go. So there's 3 days of push movements. And now we look for pulls, okay? We want to have a nice balance between vertical pulling and horizontal pulling. So sometimes I like to pair, if we're doing a vertical, then pair that with a vertical. So then on Monday, the last exercise of the day, let's say we do lat pull downs. Okay, hypertrophy focus. It's a little bit less complex. It's a little bit less full body, which is nice because the body's been taxed pretty good through the session. Now we come in on Wednesday. We're looking for a pull. We just did a horizontal push, so maybe let's look for a horizontal pull. Let's do dumbbell single arm rows. Dumbbell single arm row. All right, so that's our last exercise for Wednesday. And now we're looking on Friday. We need a pulling movement. I really like the chin up. I like the chin up better than pull-ups for a handful of reasons, but really a big one is range of motion, and you can kind of load it a little bit sooner. It's a little bit easier to learn. So I like to do chin-ups at the end of our day on Fridays. The other really nice thing about hanging from a bar at the end of a day like this is, again, it focuses on loosening up our back, which might be tuned up a little bit from the trap bar deadlift. So I find that athletes feel really, really good after doing some chin-ups on their last day of the week. So if you look at the full week here, we've trained every muscle group every single day, right? So we've been able to squat, move double leg, single leg, push and pull 3 days a week. Now, if we have trained an upper-lower split, okay, then we would have not touched the lower body again, let's say until Thursday. A traditional upper-lower split would look something like this. You would go upper body, let's just say, lower body. Typically, they give you a day off, right? And then you repeat that again. So you go upper, lower. And that's what that week looks like. But where I see a challenge here is that with a busy person, okay, a busy young athlete, if they miss one day, the entire cycle is a bit thrown off. And maybe if I miss Monday, well, now I can't hit my upper body again until Thursday. Now, of course, you can shift things around, but what I find is if I gave them a scheduled day off on Wednesday, something's getting scheduled there. That's when the dentist appointment's getting scheduled. That's when the tutor's getting scheduled, okay? So I think having a day like this really jams you up and doesn't allow the freedom of movement that a Monday, Wednesday, Friday would. Now, of course, the last one I want to touch on is probably my least favorite split for a busy person or a youth athlete, and that's the body part a day split. So look, bodybuilders and people that are hypertrophy training, they have great success with this. But I find the people who have most success with that, their life is built around training. But again, like I said, most people, their lives aren't built around training. So again, let's draw a line here just to separate it. Okay, the last one I want to talk about here is the body part a day split at the bottom of the whiteboard. So what we'd be talking about there is maybe like a leg day, okay, a chest day. Let's go back here on Wednesday, right? Shoulders on Thursday, and maybe arms to finish the week on Friday. I think the major drawback with this is if I have something come up, let's say on Tuesday, and I miss my chest day, it's going to have a cascade of effects throughout the week. Where in the program I outlined above, the one that I really like, we are more or less training the chest 3 days a week. You're actually hitting the muscle group more often. Hitting the muscle group more often is going to cause a microdosing effect, all right? And the cumulative effect of that is going to be exponential as you go. You know, with the kids that I train, I actually use investing and long-term financial health as kind of a lesson about how exercise works. Because really, you know, if I want $100 at Christmas, I need to start thinking about that in June, all right? So I can't really start thinking about it when I want it. And that's how fitness works, right? So what I look at in the 3-day-a-week program is I'm putting money in the bank 3 days a week. Where in this one, I'm putting money in the bank once a week. And as we know, all right, it's going to be a lot easier to accumulate some funds in that account if I'm depositing more often. So this is the program that I really like with youth athletes and really busy people in general, because we're able to train more. We're able to train harder. Now, I'm going to talk later in some different videos about how we assign sets and reps to be able to train max effort on one day, dynamic effort on another day, repeat effort on a third day, and how all of that can work together. The last thing I really want to point out about the 3-day-a-week program is these days in between, the Tuesday and the Thursday, okay? These open spaces right here. That's where the magic happens. Okay, because that's when you're able to get in the batting cage, to get on the basketball court, to go out on the field, all right, and work on your skill, all right, to transfer what we did in the weight room to the field in real time. So there's an old wives' tale that maybe lifting weights will throw off your jump shot. And there's some truth to it, because if you don't pick up a basketball and all you do is lift weights, when you pick up that basketball, it's going to feel weird in your hands, because now you're a different person. Maybe you've grown in height. Right? Youth athletes are growing at high rates. Maybe you've added on a lot of muscle, a lot of body weight. Okay? That ball's going to feel weird. So yeah, your jump shot's going to have to get rebuilt. Same with your baseball swing, golf swing, whatever it might be. But if we work on our sports skill while we're building muscle, okay, while we're building power and coordination, then those two things can build together. Right? And that's where you see the really great transfer to the field or the court or whatever your sport is. All right, the other benefit is this opens up your day for conditioning. So I know I have my athletes for a limited period of time. Okay, we talked about how busy they are. So I might not be able to do everything I want to do with them. I don't get my athletes for 90 minutes. All right, I typically have 45-minute sessions with them. And it's really hard for me to decide what matters the most. And we're constantly adding and eliminating and tweaking workout programs so that we're making the most time-efficient programs possible. But of course, there's stuff that gets missed. There's corrective exercises that gets missed, injury prevention that gets missed, speed, agility, conditioning, those sort of things sometimes get missed. But what I love about the Tuesdays and Thursdays is you can jam-pack those times with stuff the athlete might need, whether that be cardio, whether that be solving a movement deficiency, or whatever the case might be. So that's how we build our workout programs. Again, the reasons I really like it, there's a long list of them. So hopefully I can go into more detail in some future videos about sets and reps and things like that. But I'd love to hear your feedback about what you think, what kind of programs you're running, and the impact it has on your athletes. So I hope this helps, and talk to you soon.